Hello, viewers. I'm SB,
And I'm Amabel.
and welcome back to part 2 of Amabel Goes to 4X School Total War Warhammer, where we're playing the second game here as Clan Moulder, the Skaven, led by Throt the Unclean, who knows his own name. Isn't that great? He's like a Pokemon. So let's have
Rats generally know their own name, don't they?
a debatable.
Twist, bend, mangle,
Speech is not the primary way that you want to communicate with a rat. Generally, I guess is what I'll say.
Hey, but if you call them by their name, they'll come to you or no?
Not necessarily. No, I wouldn't say that that's going to have a super
I'm gonna
high.
ask you so many rat questions during this playthrough.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that that's going to have a high rate of success. So, Throt the Unclean has the ability Beast Pack, which summons a unit of rat ogres. This is a thing you can do once per battle. Just summons a unit of rat ogres. Rat ogres are big, chargy. You've never seen a rat ogre before, I don't think. But they're like big, hulky, charging monster type units. Not
Okay.
not very tough, not very good at self defense, but good at running into somebody really hard. And because these are summoned units, it is generally the case in this game that units that have been summoned will degrade over time. They'll hang out for like X seconds, and then after that time period is up, they will rapidly lose HP until they disintegrate.
Okay.
He himself has replenishment. He has this scurry away ability that all Skaven have. If their leadership gets to wavering or lower, they gain 10% bonus speed. So when they break, they break very effectively. He is a master controller. So his knack for subjugating troops generates extra melee defense and leadership for all units within 35 meters of him. He's a pretty good fighter. 50 attack, 55 defense, big, huge bonus versus large, lots of armor piercing damage. Pretty good fighter of monsters in particular. His armor is not super high, but he does have some built-in missile resistance and some built-in physical resistance on top of it.
Okay.
He is the Lord of Hell Pit, so in his army we get an upkeep reduction for monster type units, basically rat ogres, wolf rats, brood horrors, and then also plus 10 armor for all such units. So we are incentivized to use a lot of monster units in his army. Okay.
Okay.
We have started with some Skaven slave spears. So the absolute most basic unit of the Skaven army is these Skaven slaves. So you can get them with spears or with swords. I don't think they're the same kind of creature. I think it's like a goblin orc kind of situation where Skaven slaves are they're kind of a physically lesser. I think I'm not super filled in on the lore here. I might be wrong about this, but basically they're just like really shitty. Look at that: 9 attack, 16 defense, 0 armor, and there's 180 of them in a unit. And their job is just to go forth and die, basically. Expendable, meat shield. Other Skaven don't care when they see Skaven slaves die, because that's what the Skaven slaves are there for. Then you got your clan rats, which are more basic tier 1 units, 24, 22. You can see you tend to lose. Clan rats tend to lose in melee with other tier 1 units, straight up just based on the numbers, but there's 160 of them to a unit, which can make a big difference sometimes. It's a lot more than you're going to see in like a unit of swordsmen or something. We got some Night Runners with slings. These are the most basic of the sort of like ninja type units. They have slings. They have like okay-ish melee stats, 24 attack at least. You know, they can stab an archer in the back. And then they have some pretty hefty physical resistance and the ability to just run around the field pretty fast. Like this is almost as quick as our as our orc cavalry was, if you remember. It's 54 speed, and they can use their slings while you can just have them like run behind the enemy archers or whatever, and so they're sort of like a pseudo cavalry skirmishing kind of unit. We got ourselves a mutant rat ogre, which is just a big punchy monster unit. It's got frenzy, of course, which you always love to see. 52 melee attack, and it deals magic damage. It has magical attacks, which are sometimes better than non-magical attacks. It's got a little bit of defense, but yeah, mostly just, punch real hard, very solid charge bonus. We have a unit of normal rat ogres, which are like that guy, but smaller and less armored. There's 16 of them per unit. Like I said, they're just sort of a charging monster unit. We have these wolf rats, which I don't think I've ever used before. I don't think these were in the game last time I played it.
Okay.
These are 95 speed, so like actual fast horse speed war beasts with 28 attack, 19 defense, 30 charge. They're not very impressive damage-wise, but if they get on something with their charge bonus, they'll work it for like 10 seconds or something, and certainly 28 attack plus a 30-point charge bonus is going to get them through enemy ranged or whatever under most circumstances. And then we have this. So note this unit has some special sort of stuff going on in the UI here. This is an augmented unit. We're going to have the ability to augment a lot of our units using the Flesh Laboratory. And this is a system we're going to come to grips with together because I've never used it before. But the deal with these guys is they have +4 melee attack, plus 10% weapon strength, and a Warp Lightning Rod ability. They have 50% chance to gain more instabilities with every additional augment applied. We get extra growth juice from recycling them. Their casualty replenishment rate is really bad, and they have the passive ability Instability 1, which means they're just constantly bleeding in combat. As long as their HP is over 3/4, they're constantly taking damage. So as you graft more garbage onto them, they get more instability, and so they take more damage over time. That's weird. That's a weird thing. I've never really never seen that before.
This really
What?
It's a little horrifying. I
Sure.
knew that. I knew we were signing up for that.
Yeah, we're gonna be deep in the body horror stuff here. So we've also got
not just the body horror, but the war crimes.
all of it. It's all sort of
linked.
linked together. The war crimes are how we do the body horror.
Is this maybe the worst slander against rats you've encountered
Yeah, for sure.
in a video game?
For sure, but they're also kind of awesome in their own way, so I have to respect it. So we also have this hero here, Conrich Scuttle, who is a pack master.
Monsters at my command.
Reasonable attack stats, 35, 40. He's better than basic melee troops, but he's certainly not going to be good at fighting other heroes. But he's got a good bonus versus large, and he will also, I think, get some summons. Is that right? Yeah, he gets to summon wolf rats, and we're gonna go ahead and fold him into the army here for the first battle, so you can get some XP. You know how this goes.
Feed clan.
So we've started the game at war with these guys, the Druzhina Enclave, Kislevites. They have some territory here, and we're just gonna take that away from them. Real quick, what are my victory conditions? We just need to wipe out the two big Kislevite factions and occupy, loot, raise, or sack 30 settlements. We don't have to be holding any territory in particular at the end of it or anything. It's just cause damage and kill these folks. Okay?
Eugene is one of those names that has come to be like a nerd name.
All right.
I feel like, I don't know, just weird seeing like there are historical people named there are historical generals named Eugene, but it's kind of like Nimrod, or like I don't know.
Okay. That's what you were thinking about the whole time I was talking?
No, just when I saw the guy's name was Eugene, it was like,
Okay.
It's not a fearsome name to me.
All right.
Throt the Unclean is a fearsome name.
So if I'm not
less so.
If I'm not mistaken, the Ice Court is going to have started around here in control of the settlement of Kislev, and the Great Orthodoxy is going to have started westish of them, I think.
Okay.
So the two factions that we are after are to our south a little bit.
I'm just commenting.
Okay.
I'm absorbing the information that you gave me. I don't have any comments on that yet.
All right. Shall we spill some blood?
Yeah.
And let's go ahead and do it manually so we can see our troops. So,
Yeah.
notice the menace below here. We are allowed to come into the battle with a certain number of charges of this ability, the menace below. The number of charges that we get, that we have access to, is based on Skaven corruption in the region, and you can see we can buy ourselves some number of extra charges for the battle by spending food. Having a big stockpile of food is very important for the Skaven. They are extremely food-motivated creatures. You can see here, if we're at sort of normal food levels, then there's a little construction cost penalty and a little bit of a growth bonus in all of our regions. If food supplies get low, it starts to have all kinds of penalties. Leadership -10 on Skaven units is a big deal because you'll notice a lot of them have like 35 natural leadership and stuff like that. You're going to see even more
Right.
breaking and running here than we were seeing with the orcs. But if you can get food levels nice and high, then obviously everybody's pretty happy with that. And we'll come across different ways of generating food. And the amount of food that we need to hit each level is going to increase as we expand our empire and get our armies larger and stuff. So it's something we're going to have to be thinking about, all the time, forever.
Okay.
I will take one extra charge of this with us just so that we can play with it. And let's fight this battle. We got some Kossars with spears. We got some Kossars with bows. We got a snow leopard. That's pretty scary. And then Eugene Zakharova himself, who you have personally made fun of. And he is incensed. He is angry. He is here to make it right.
Oh no.
Did you know a unit's type broadly defines its capabilities, strengths, and weaknesses? Mounted units, for example, are generally swift but vulnerable against spears. It's true. So this should be a very easy battle. Obviously, this is a feature that's common to almost all of these campaigns. They start you off with, like, at war with one minor faction, and that minor faction has an army within movement of your starting army who is inferior to you, so that you can kind of like test your troops, kind of get a feel for your figures. All right, and I don't think there's anything here more complicated going on than we run at them. It's worth noting the Night Runners and the Wolf Rats both have Vanguard deployment.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, and they're both quite quick. Also note that even our basic kind of garbage ground units have 40+ speed. So as an army, we're like 10% faster than most people. And our heroes are going to get real quick once they get their mounts, of course, as well. I don't think I'm gonna do a big forward Vanguard start unless, are there like good trees around here? There really aren't. This is kind of just like a big marshy garbage field. You know what? Let's let's grab these two. I'll just do some of this and make them nervous. You see, the Night Runners actually have pretty significant range, more than I was expecting. They have the same range as these archers, but I don't really want them to get arched. Actually, let's be a little more careful. All right, and I think mostly we're just gonna have at them. Let's grab the melee troops and just be like, go forth. Characters. Now this like marshy field shit actually does kind of make it harder to do the thing I want to do with these wolf rats, which obviously is like run around the side. I think I'm gonna try to cross the water here. Let's see what they do in response to that.
Get 'em.
So they are trying to bring their arrows out to the side. Travel through water does slow your units down unless your units have specifically the trait that makes that not the case. They're turning back around because they're like, maybe we overcommitted a little. Maybe we're overdoing it. All right, so I'm kind of just running the monsters like past them on this side. Here's my big plan. We'll make them turn and fight. So here's a rat ogre, normal rat ogres. They have been, you know, sort of encouraged to grow, and then sometimes stitched together out of the pieces of the ones who only kind of grew, and yeah. Not a lot of intelligence in a rat ogre. They're not capable of like speech or anything. They're just a big roaring monster man. I would love to get this snow leopard engaged on our packmaster if possible to take advantage of his like 20-point bonus versus large. So we're gonna try for that. We're gonna have y'all just kind of march forward. So they do have a unit of Kossovite dervishes, which we have to be a little careful of. Again, we do have some anti-large, but we're certainly not as like auto win against large as the last army was.
Okay.
Oh right, we got to remember we have fucking lightning rod. Wait, I didn't aim it. Can I cancel? I don't want you to do that. Oh, it drops it on themselves. Dire greenish black lightning strikes at the Skaven's crude warpstone implant. Okay, I see. You're supposed to run them in, and then I thought it was like a castable, targetable. Okay, well they're about to get hit by lightning because I pressed a button. So that's good. All right, here we come. And here's the mutant rat ogre doing his thing. Okay, so you can see here we also have 2 uses of the Menace Below. 1 natural from the amount of Skaven corruption in the region, plus 1 that we paid for. This is on a 45-second cooldown, so you don't want to like hold it too much. And when we press this button, it's just going to grow a unit of clan rats out of the ground. I'm going to put them right here and try to get all up in the cavalry. Yeah, and you guys wrap around. I think this is going to go pretty badly for these archers. They're getting all wrapped up. Yep, the rat ogres are absolutely brutalizing these ogres, or these archers. It turns out everything's going pretty well. Ah, Cravens. My warriors flee. Those wolf rats were doing fine. You notice they have broken and run from even combat at like 70% HP. That's kind of what I was talking about when I said we're going to see a lot of breaking and running.
Okay.
So I'm going to use Thrott's ability here to bring forth an extra unit of rat ogres. Just give us a little bit of support on this front while we wait for those guys to stop panicking like children. There we go. My warriors are rallying. Get your asses back in here. Yeah. Let's get some more clan rats up on this side. All right. The mutant rat ogre is doing some fine work. Where's my packmaster? You are supposed to be fighting this. Okay, most of the enemy army has been overwhelmed and broken pretty thoroughly. That extra unit of rat ogres has really done a lot of good. I'm going to try to get these Skaven slaves disengaged from their lords so that we can swamp him with monsters that do a little bit more damage. And also Throt. Okay, we finally caught up with the snow leopard here. Yeah, that mutant rat ogre is pretty badass. Unfortunately, thing is fast as hell. Okay. He's going to get away.
Impressive violence, sweetheart. Good job.
Thank you. Y'all come back out. I think we want to let this just be Throt and the enemy here. Okay, so see, this is a case where actually I do want to end the battle without breaking their lord, because this lord is not providing any particular strength. So I would like to, if we have to fight these guys again, I would like to go into battle with their lord already wounded, so that it will be easier to kill him, and you know, create the lord, my lord just died penalty.
Okay.
But overall, like, this army's, you know, they're done for. Obviously, that was a pretty, excuse me, that was a pretty thorough defeat.
Yeah. And they said it was going to be a Pyrrhic victory, but I feel like...
So this is one thing we're going to come to grips with here. And it used to be truer, and I know that they worked on it a little bit, but it's still true. The auto-resolver does not respect Skaven units.
Okay.
Skaven units are built exactly wrong for the formulas. You know, the low, it's something about the combination of the low leadership and the high number of very low health figures in each unit and stuff. The auto-resolver is always going to treat our armies like they're much worse than they are.
So you picking this
You
is also
you specifically asked for Skaven. That's why we're here.
Yes, but it's also a gift for me.
Well, I mean,
You're
it's
gonna have to
sure.
resolve every battle manually.
Not every battle, certainly. And you wouldn't want that. They will get tedious. Certain kinds of battles, certainly. So we gained some food there in the battle. You know?
How did that happen?
Interesting. Only 72 enemies captured, so only 2 units of food. Got some growth vet, some growth juice, some treasury. We can enslave these folks and gain some more food and experience. We can eat them the way the orcs do and just replenish health immediately off of them, or sell them off. Notice this is different than ransoming them back to their... I'm going to take the food, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Okay.
So, the...
All right, yeah, the army is deleted.
The eat them thing.
Yeah.
The orcs have that too, but do all factions have that, or is that just...
Well, humans,
the
Empire factions don't eat their opponents, but most factions have a thing that is like that, you know, allows you to replenish your supplies off of them to some degree. You know,
Okay.
It's not always flavored the same way. So, first skill point, what are we going to take? Amabel?
Route Marcher.
Route Marcher, that's correct. There's movement speed available. Okay, so we can keep this guy in with the army. That's not terrible. He stimulates growth in the region that he hangs out in. So there's some defense, I think, for just having your packmasters hang out in your friendly regions. But if he's going to be sticking with the army, let's have him get better at scavenging. Even more loot per battle. We're going to need it. And then, we have enough movement to get to that settlement? We sure do. So Fort Straghov is part of Troll Country, which is a region made up of Fort Straghov and Ostrosk, and then to the west, Zoyshenk, and Castle Alexandranov, which I think might be up by the river. Remember, down here is Erengrad, that huge port city. If you'll remember this terrain from the last time we were doing this thing.
Yeah.
I guess let's just try to wipe out this faction first. So a close victory. It won't actually take out any of our units to do this. Let's go ahead and just, we'll just take that on auto resolve real fast here. And so, so we can loot and occupy the settlement. The buildings in the settlement are all damaged, and then we can take over. We can expand our under empire. Do not capture the settlement, but instead put a city underneath this city. Sneaky, sneaky. Or we can just sack it or raise it in the classical fashions. If we raise it, we do get growth vat juice and also food. So that's something. If we choose to occupy the settlement on the surface in an obvious way, we can spend food to occupy it at a higher starting level, so that we don't have to spend as much time
Okay.
growing it afterward. But obviously, at 20 extra food per level, we certainly don't want to spend that kind of stuff right now.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure what the right thing to do is here. You want to play with the under
Yeah.
empire functionality?
Yeah.
Okay. So, here is Fort Straghov as it exists to the people on the surface. It's got a badly damaged level 1 settlement structure and an empty slot. Under the city, we now have access to 4 more building slots and this discoverability meter. When we build various things down here, they will add to or they will increase or decrease the discoverability. And if discoverability is positive, then every turn there's a chance that the faction that owns the top city will find out about your undercity.
Okay.
And once they've done so, they can take actions to do things to it. And then you have a certain line of murder holes here. Reduces the discoverability of the city at a cost of additional maintenance. So we can dig this out and create a warren here, which will give us bonus movement range for our own armies starting in the region, big replenishment rate for local characters, extra uses for the menace below that summons Skaven in battle ability, and that stuff all scales up pretty impressively. We can make it an underpass, so more of a stronghold, vanguard deployment for armies in the region, extra hero action success chance in the area, and then we can start summoning up a Vermintide. If you get the settlement to a high enough level to be able to build level 5 things in it, you can construct a Rat King that then gets upgraded to a Vermintide. When you finish the Vermintide, it immediately destroys, it collapses the city, the Undercity, and it declares war on the person on the surface and creates a whole new army for you right there at that point, already attacking the city. So you can use the Undercity to sort of quietly, secretly marshal an army, which I think is a really neat idea. These are the buildings that are related to concealment. So, you can hide the city, but at some cost to yourself. You can use the Undercity to generate food and wealth, of course, in various different ways. Sometimes quite a lot of food or wealth. In addition, you can use these Ratkin Mafia generates income from the settlement based on the settlement's income. So, some of these things are more effective when used on enemy cities that are more functional themselves. And then, you can get a subterranean pit that gives us a chance to expand outward, just expand our Undercity to another place nearby for free. These things that can affect research rate and cost for the various units that use Warpstone. You see all this stuff.
You see all this. It's a lot of stuff.
A
but,
subterranean strip mine can give you access to Skaven warp bombs within the region. The ability to just teleport an exploding bomb into the middle of enemy forces. That's pretty fun. I kind of like the idea of setting up a subterranean pit that can expand our warp force, our undercities for us, and then at the same time pushing Skaven corruption up and negating the discoverability penalty, and that way we're just kind of spreading. We can just let that go and have it spread things out for us over time. Right? Does it make sense to you?
Makes sense to me. It's just a lot.
Okay. It's a lot.
It's a lot at once.
All right, I'm gonna go blue line with this guy for the same reason I went blue line with Aztag right away.
Right.
Just 'cause I like that. I like those boosts. Notice in the blue line here we have a Skaven corruption increasing skill, so to help us get more corruption and access to more Skaven techniques in the region. We also have ambush success chance, all this stuff. I'm gonna get corruptive. Let's get really good at corrupting places quickly. We want to
Okay.
take advantage of our magic Skaven extra numbers, you know? You are going to learn how to fight a little bit more competently. Whether by attachment or mutation, something nasty and spiky on your tail has got to bring no little advantage in battle. Okay, now we did take a lot of damage there, but we're totally out of movement. So you'll notice the army's stances are not the same with this faction as they
Okay.
are with the others. Our default movement stance is called stalking. You have a chance, a lowered chance, of automatically ambushing any army that you attack while you're in stalking stance, because Skaven are sneaky, right?
Okay.
We have the sort of standard ambush chance, ambush stance. We have a raiding stance that generates food and money and debuffs enemy cities in the area. We have an encampment stance that allows us to get access to replenishment and recruitment from the field. You'll remember as the orcs, these two things were combined. We have this channeling stance that increases the sort of winds of magic reserve in the area. Can be important if you're relying on your casters and the area is not naturally feeling very magical. Just do that for a couple of turns before a big battle. And then, of course, we have access to the underway stance and the standard march mode. All right, let's talk about our big settlement here, Hell Pit. First of all, upgrading the base settlement in Hell Pit, obviously very good. We are going to want to eventually take advantage of this landmark structure chain, which generates food and growth juice and gives buffs to our rat ogres and our Hell Pit abominations. So called because we make them. This is where we make them. For right now, though, I'm going to focus on early growth, as I often do. Growth and income are both tremendously important. The way corruption works is a region gains corruption from factors inside of that region that cause corruption, buildings, armies, or whatever. And then also each region radiates a percentage of its corruption out to every surrounding adjacent region every turn. So by driving the corruption level of Hell Pit up, we're also increasing the ambient Skaven corruption of everything nearby, which then is also, to a small degree, increasing the next spring out from there. So it is valuable for us to push up the corruption here, even if we don't necessarily need it right here. We could get some extra growth. I think that's probably the direction I want to go. I really want to get us to a place where we have more building slots unlocked here. So focusing on growth early on feels like the thing to do. Finally, before we hit end turn here, there's a couple of things we got to be thinking about. First of all, technology. We don't yet have access to our tech tree because different parts of the tech tree are bound by the presence of different buildings for the Skaven.
Okay.
So we're gonna need to put together some research buildings before we can even do any research. Also, Skaven have this system of rights here. We can perform these rights whenever we can afford them. They have obviously a technology cost or a performance cost up in the upper left, and then also we have to achieve something in order to initially unlock the right. So this will unlock after issuing the expansionist planning commandment. This one requires us to get 3 technologies. But you'll see that we have these, and they each have a duration and a cooldown and an effect duration. So this is another thing we have to manage, just sort of like faction-wide spells.
And to issue a commandment, you have to have all the cities in the province, right?
Yep. So expansionist planning is the one that we issued. So when it goes into effect next turn, we'll unlock that first right. We also generated 88 growth juice during that turn. How does this flesh laboratory stuff work? I only sort of know. So you can just target your units and then press the button and give them a bonus. And it costs some mutagen, of which we have currently 100. It is produced mainly in the growth vat, collected as a byproduct whenever the vat is emptied to claim batches of units. A maximum of 100 can be stored at once, so we want to spend this. And when we throw buffs onto units, there's a chance they will gain instabilities like this one has.
Okay.
So we have infantry augments, monster augments, and of course, the laboratory, where we can unlock various things. Okay. Monster augments. Let's talk about this, because I think our rat ogre is amazing, and I would love for our rat ogre to have more. Our monster rat ogre to have even more power, even greater prowess. We could give him Vanguard deployment.
He wouldn't mind that.
No, I don't think he would mind that. We could give him the ability to be a lightning rod, call down the lightning onto him, have him charge into a group of units, and then just. What do you think?
I think Vanguard really.
Yeah, I worry a little bit about. Here, we're gonna give it to him.
If not work.
I mean, I don't mean that it's the right thing to do, but I think having a lot of things we can put in the Vanguard, hit them fast. Increases the number of places we might be able to hide if we have favorable terrain. Like that's the good shit for me.
Okay, so since we've done this once now, we have unlocked the two up here. Random uncommon augments applied +2, but it will only apply from your existing augments. Or, big huge weapon strength and charge bonus. Interesting. And at this point, 20%. This unit is unstable. They can be recycled or augmented further, but each additional augment will increase the level of instability. Yeah, so we could keep applying augments here with the chance of creating the instability problem. I mean, it's pretty scary. How about you guys? Yeah, I'm going to give these rat ogres deadly momentum. Oh, I see. Okay, you have to apply each of the things that leads to, so we won't get advanced neuropathy until we have also applied forced aneuploidy to someone. I don't know what that means. This gives the passive ability Guardian, plus 15% physical resistance to all allies in range. Okay, but only lords and heroes. Lords and heroes in 35 meters. Still, that's pretty cool. Okay, I see how this goes. And our rat
aneuploidy is the occurrence of one or more extra or missing chromosomes in a cell or organism.
Okay. Our rat ogre did absolutely catch the instability right away. So he's got that instability 1 and the big replenishment rate penalty. So that's a little bit of a shame. And if we recycled him, we get 50 growth juice. So where do we have to get to with this? If we get to 500 growth juice, we can pull a wolf rat cluster, and it will give us 100 mutagen when we do. Okay. Our mutagen cap must be raisable, because most of the pulls give you more mutagen than you can hold.
Okay.
Very interesting. Okay. We're going to play with all this stuff. I think we're actually ready to be over with the first turn, though. How are you feeling about the level of difference that you are already observing mechanically between...
it's neat. It's a neat little box of toys and systems to play with, and I like that kind of extreme asymmetry, especially like in board games, but also in in video games. Yeah, I like it. I don't have much else to say other than I like it. So far, so good.
Okay, it's a lot of stuff, right? Over the course of
Yeah.
what is it? It's like 90 something different legendary lords. It
Yeah,
ends
it's
up
an impressive amount of design. I assume they have a pretty large team of design people.
yeah, and they've effectively been like pounding away on this for 10 years or something since including all
Yeah.
the stuff that started with Total War Warhammer 1.
I forget sometimes that video games are made by more than one person.
Boy, aren't they ever. All right, embed a warlock engineer into Thrott's army to get the creature killer. Thrott's modified thing catcher makes him an expert throttler, but allows him to excel at throttling things much larger than man-sized. So yeah, a lot of Skaven have a weapon they like to use that basically it's like a hook with a flippable closure that turns it into more of a loop. You sort of just you grab something by the neck and lock it in, and they call it a throttler or a man catcher. So Thrott's legendary things catcher, creature killer, is on the fritz. As he attempted to throttle a rat ogre to drag into his wretched flesh laboratory, one of the prongs on the apparatus's business end snapped loose, becoming entirely detached. Urgh, mechanical tinker fixing is for scryer dregs. Stupid boring, Thrott lamented out loud as he shoved a warpstone-laced energy bar into his mouth. He had been suspicious of scryer engineers, which he considered small-brained for being so obsessed with machinery, when tinkering with natural and unnatural anatomy was so much more interesting. But warlock engineers have the knowledge and means to restore his legendary weapon, and regardless of his cynicism for the tinker rats, his beasts weren't going to throttle themselves. Okay, so a warlock engineer hero, we'll see. We'll see what we can do. We have unlocked the dominating scheme. No, it is this button. Yeah. So 3,000 gold for 5 turns of 3 extra food per turn, 40 extra growth. Like, it's a big deal. It's a powerful thing. I don't know that I want to spend the money right this second. So here's the question: do we want to go down? We gotta recruit some more stuff before we try to fight Fort Straghov, I think.
Yeah.
So let's get over here into Hell Pit. Notice that the units with the instability are effectively not healing at all because the minus 10%. We do not naturally have a 10% replenishment rate, so that's concerning.
That is concerning.
We're going to go into this mode here, and let's do some recruitment. Now, right now, we don't have access to very much. We just have access to basic clan rats and Skaven slaves. You can get Skaven slaves with slingers, so you do have access to some ranged units, but these guys are pretty bad at the job. I'm just going to grab us a number of clan rats, just to sort of fill things out for the moment.
Okay.
So what do we think we're going to be up against? You have 24-23 on these, the normal ones, the ones with swords, or 18-29, but with a 9-point bonus versus large on the spears. So the spears are more survivable no matter what. Let's grab 3 units of spears. I guess actually I could commit to 2 turns of sitting like this. And we can pull in some stuff from the global pool. In 2 turns, we'll be at a full army, and our other units will be patched up to some degree. And we're waiting to build buildings here. So next turn, we could probably afford to fire off the whatchamacallit. In the interim, if we're worried about money, it might be a good idea to start generating some income from this Undercity. Let's just take the flat amount, because the city's income is bad. So taking a percentage off the top of their yield is not really going to get us anywhere. So, of course, the downside of trying to just, like, run your stuff off of Undercities is that it does make it a little tricky Like, we do want to kill these guys, right? You have to defeat the settlement in a battle to install the Undercity, and then defeat the settlement in another battle to actually destroy it, and it's just... It slows things down a little bit. But
Tiny rat murder. Murder by tiny rat.
But if we get lucky, we can perhaps get some free expansions off of Fort Straghov, and we'll see. We'll see if we can maybe expand without having to do all of that work in every direction. And you can still just, take over cities and build stuff on the surface. And there's some amount of that you're going to need to do, because, like, the recruitment structures and whatnot. All right, construct any building that allows technology research. I would love to, trust me. Next turn, we're going to have 2 more building slots unlocked in Blackblood Pass. We'll be right on top of it. Continuing to recruit. Yeah, let's go ahead and hit this. The dominating scheme. Big growth, lots of food.
Whoa!
Did you enjoy that?
I was surprised by it, but yes.
So notice our army upkeep is climbing. We're now losing more food per turn because we have more units in our army. Let's see, the army consumption went up from 0 to 1 per turn. Food is going to be a persistent issue for us.
Cold makes meat fresh longer.
That said, between we've had the Packmaster spending a couple extra turns in Hell Pit, and now we've fired the right. We should have our growth in a pretty good spot. It should be pretty easy to push Hell Pit's main settlement structure level up.
Okay.
All right, what are you doing? You're just running back and forth between the 2 settlements every turn. You need to stand still and actually, like, recruit troops, dude. Amabel, what's he thinking?
Oh. What a goofball.
What a fucking goofball. So Fort Ostrowsk, I think I would like to just take over, and we'll, maintain it as a castle so that we have another surface, a large surface settlement, more slots, higher levels and stuff. All right, making a fair amount of money. We have some spaces open now. So buildings that can allow you to do research are marked with a little symbol on the right here.
Okay.
So we could pick up a breeding stock monster pit to help us. At first, this will unlock the recruitment of more wolf rats, and then eventually rat ogres and mutant rat ogres, brood horrors, and finally the Hell Pit Abomination, which has an ability called Too Horrible to Die. Because that's who we are. The Rubbish Pit, which gives us a little bit more income, does unlock devious plans. Warpstone Reactor will give us access to ingenious plans. The Control and Income Boosting Taskmasters platform will get us some other... What are all these different bits of plans? So let's see here. Here we can get basic recruit ranks up. Always more besides, just a 5-point replenishment rate increase for everybody. Probably pretty good. So a lot of buffs for our most basic units here. Growth up everywhere is certainly exciting. Control up everywhere is pretty strong. Big campaign movement range. Okay, Ruthless Plans is an area that I'd like to get into. Which one was the Ruthless Plans? All right, let's build a Taskmaster's platform. It is true, our control is suffering pretty badly here, actually. We could use a shot of control. And then we'll take the upgrade on the Nest Nursery, so that'll generate a little bit more growth and a little bit more income. And we still have the ability to start another... Oh yeah, rubbish pits are actually really cheap. Well, I'm not necessarily opposed... Exotic animal tamer will give us exotic animal production. Okay, so one thing that we did not deal with at all as the greenskins is the trade economy. Greenskins don't trade. But this exotic animals resource production here, this is a trade good. And you can establish trade routes with other players. So we could generate some money off of this. Also, you know, exotic animals, that's growth juice every turn, obviously. We just squeeze the animals, I suppose. So this is not a bad building to push either, although it doesn't give us any...
I was going to say, I did ask for this.
Yes, this was your call.
This is my
I would
call.
like to just reiterate that this is all your doing. I'm going to build us a rubbish pit first because it aids with the Skaven corruption. I want to get the areas around us nice and sort of seeded for our victory.
Bifurcate.
Okay, and then we're mostly pretty ready to go again. What we don't have is the movement speed necessary. Oh no, we totally do. We could just siege up. He only has 9 units in his army. So if we go and we put this place under siege, we will at the very least stop their replenishment. Or stop their mustering. But we could, push for the full battle. We are allowed to just attack right now because we do have a couple of different creatures with the siege damage designation. But we also could take a second and build ourselves some buildings, some siege weaponry. So what are we up against? Kislevite warriors with halberds. They got a fair number of bow units, and then of course they'll have the the walls and stuff. You can see here, it would take 10 turns for their garrison to be wiped out from attrition. And if we just sit here and siege them while building siege towers to make the battle ever more tipped in our favor, they'll start their units will start starving slowly, and we can force them to either just eventually yield or ride out and attack us on the field in a way that's probably not going to be very good for them.
Okay.
What do you think? We didn't really play around with like the siege gear very much last time.
I mean, putting the siege gear out makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know that we need rams because we got rat ogres. Rat ogres like a battering ram. But being able to put somebody up, being able to get some of our basic Skaven units up onto the walls to harass their archers and prevent them from just shooting the rat ogres to pieces while they approach is probably an okay idea.
You know what I would
Let's
like?
just continue the siege here so that you can see kind of how these work. So we'll make some towers.
Because the Skaven are like they're rat people, but like they're not rat size. They're closer to people size, right?
Yeah. A Skaven's like 4 or 5 feet tall generally.
So I would like there to be to scale like I would like to see a Skaven do a ratatouille with like a giant. That'd be real good for me. This is just in case anyone who works on these games is watching. In case John Warhammer is watching from Games Workshop. Like you should have a Skaven ratatouille a giant. That would be good. I would like that.
I mean, when the Skaven legendary lords are on their mounts, I assume it's kind of that thing. Okay, so they're riding out. They have determined that this is a bad idea, and they would like to engage in a field battle for the safety of their settlement. I think we can beat them.
Yeah. Do you want to menace below it by a couple?
Yeah, I do want to put forth a little bit of extra juice here just in case, but I think we got them. Valiant defeat. Now, unfortunately, because it's not our turn, we don't have our top of menu UI, and I don't know exactly how much food we need to maintain to stay in the middle of the bar.
We'll figure it out.
Okay. Yeah, I've decided it's this much. Yeah, I think because we're like kind of heavily reliant on these like monster type units who do not naturally deal with, say, a wall very well. I really do
Yeah.
think that attacking the settlement disadvantaged us quite a bit. It was much worse for us than like as the greenskins, where we could use our catapults to sort of soften things up, and so baiting them into the field battle, I think, was important. Here's hoping most of us survive. Although, you know, your early game troops, listen, if they gotta die for the cause, they gotta die for the cause, right? Okay, so because I'm defending, I have to set up first, right?
Yeah.
Um,
But you got some woods and some vanguard units.
yeah.
So, I mean,
Are you hidden in woods? Are you too? Wow, the woods are in the shoot. Yeah, I didn't think so. The mutant rat ogre is too big. I don't mind. Like, I think the vanguard is going to be useful on it, but I don't know that this is the opportunity that we're looking for.
okay.
I do kind of like the idea of stacking up the wolf rats in the trees here and having them lash out as enemies run past them. Unfortunately, I don't know. They might just walk straight across, honestly. Okay, so y'all are stealthed. And then I'm going to set up our melee here as though we intend to just cross the dry ground. And yeah, characters. Trying to make sure that most of our units are in somebody's aura. I think that's about as good as it's getting. I don't want to overdo it here on the strategy. They've sort of set up in a kind of a weird, super wide stance here, which I think is going to be really bad for them. I think we want to kind of just hit one side of this army and chomp through. Take advantage of our superior speed to.
That's a classic way to do this. You know, if someone, especially someone is spread too thin, you should cover more frontage. Hitting a flank or wing with a lot of force very quickly, breaking it and rolling up it is, you know, that's what my boy Frederick. My jokes are funnier if I don't stammer. That's what my boy Freddy the Second of Prussia did all the fucking time.
Sure. I'm worried that they are going to see our units here in the trees. Oh, I didn't tell you guys not to fire on... Well...
Well, I guess the cat's out of the bag.
Cat's out of the bag on those ones. Shoot. What am I going to do with you? I guess just get back here. We'll have the rat ogres and the packmaster turn and try to catch the horses.
These Skaven are not the brightest boys.
No, they're certainly not. But the good news is, you know, we're fast and our retreat is covered somewhat by the trees.
Now, rats, much like cats, have a reputation for an intelligence. With rats, is that reputation earned?
The reputation, I think, is more earned with rats. You know, a rat can learn things. A rat is not necessarily receptive to English, like I said, but they do like.
Yeah.
You can communicate with a rat, and they will learn to consistently, you know, respond and stuff. A rat is. So I know this is a big thing, and people get super weird about it, but I'm just gonna say it. A rat is more of a dog-like intelligence, which is more intelligent than a cat. Sorry, cat folks, it's just true. Like,
right, well, have fun finishing this LP without me. Go.
People are so weird about the cat. People are so weird about. I don't know if there's like an inferiority complex or what, but like people who like cats get so vicious about any intimation that liking cats does not make you a superior kind of person. I've always found it very strange.
I'm going to ask you a question that
Yeah.
is. Are you including me in that? Do
No,
I do that?
you're a person who likes cats, but you're not a cat person. I think there's a distinction there, right? Like, we're gonna start summoning units out of the ground here to take advantage of our opponent's ill positioning.
I mean, I'll say this before I came out as before I figured out I was trans and figured out my deal, I never thought I would date a dog person, or a dog for that matter.
Yeah, I'm not a dog person. I also would say I'm a person who likes dogs. We're gonna do this lightning strike thing on purpose this time, and it's gonna be totally sick. Okay, this unit of Kosovite dervishes is having a little bit of trouble surviving the counter charge from the rat ogres. We're gonna send the packmaster after those dervishes. And can you stop trying to get me in trouble while I'm busy? You're trying to take advantage of the fact that I'm like distracted.
What was I doing to get you in trouble?
Making me talk about cat people. I'm just saying there's a level of like weird viciousness that I see from cat people that I never see from dog people. Like that thing people love to do on social media now where they're like, a cat just has boundaries, and if you don't like cats, then that's because you can't handle boundaries and you're a rapist. And it's just like, wow. Okay, back it up 10 feet. Like what are we even talking about here? And you will never see a dog person pull that shit. That's all I'm saying.
So first of all,
check this out. The lightning.
I'm sorry
happening.
That
was pretty good. It really
like
nuked
that.
a lot of our own dudes a lot, actually.
Yeah. I would have described myself as a cat person previously, but not like that. Just like, I'm
Yeah, you're a person you're a person who likes cats, but liking cat is not like a core part of your identity. You are not part of the cat fandom, if that clarifies.
Well, I mean, I think this part we're trying to get me in trouble, but I think making any thing that you like your personality, your identity is bad. I don't think you should be part of a fandom.
So I'm trying to do my best to like enfold the enemy units wherever we can, taking advantage of our superior numbers because we've been able to summon additional units into the battle, and also the generally superior speed of our units. Because our units are broadly going to be inferior to enemy units in pretty much every other way over the course of the campaign. Yeah. That's a thing that's true, and it's only going to get truer. But we can do a lot of this kind of stuff. Look how fast that motherfucker is. Just roll up on these dudes and chomp.
I think to a degree, a lot of cat people weirdness probably comes from like before the internet. I think cats broadly were, I don't know, cats are always the bad guys and whatnot. I think that's changed. I think at this point it's kind of like nerd culture. We're like, no, okay, cats won. You can stop being defensive about it when you have taken the place of like a get him.
I'm trying to stay out of your way and let you talk.
Yeah, I know, but I get fights.
So I think what I'm going to do here is I think because the mutant rat ogre is fast enough, I'm gonna let him chase the dervishes all the way off the map. The map border is all the way over there, and this is a high value unit. But I think I'm gonna let him chase them off the map, prevent them from recovering, and then run back to combat.
Okay.
It's a little bit of a shame to be without him for that long, but I don't want those guys recharging us.
Yeah. How do you feel the battle is going?
I don't know. Maybe that's not right. I think it's going all right. I think it's going better than this bar is indicating. We've broken a fair number of their horse units, and while we've taken a lot of damage, we're now in contact with a lot of their other units, which is where things are going to start to get complicated for them, again, based just on kind of our raw numbers. And we've got a couple of good envelops here and there. See if we can break this side. The rat ogres are panicking and running, which is a thing that they do a lot. I was kind of hoping having these two working together would keep their leadership kind of okay. We'll see if that works out. You're supposed to be attacking that unit. Did you forget? Okay, we're getting some good damage in there. Some good initial charge damage. We got ourselves another summon here. So I'm trying to figure out where I think they're going to be best applied. I don't necessarily want to just throw them down on the back of a unit that's not busy, because that unit's just going to turn around, right?
Yeah.
And fight. What I want to do is use them to squish a unit that's already committed to battle, and run down the enemy's limited stuff while it is still limited. This Packmaster's almost done over here, and then he can recontribute himself to the battle. I think I'm going to summon them in like right here.
Okay. It's another rat question, because there's gonna be so many rat questions. I'm so sorry. So you had rats. You generally don't just have one rat. You have a pair of rats or a group
yeah,
of rats,
rats are creatures where you would like for them to have companionship all the time.
Yeah. Do rats fight each other?
Yeah, well, yeah, they can.
Like play fight, the way a dog or a cat does.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So we had exclusively boy rats, fixed boy rats, and part of the deal with that is that they're actually a little bit less territorial and violent than female rats are. Once they've been fixed.
Gotcha.
We're about to get our last set of extra summons up here. Where's my mutant ogre? He's chasing these guys around the map, and he's doing great work, but it's keeping him out of the main battle longer than I would like. We have our last charge of Menace Below here. But yeah, we had them in 4s, was what we did.
Okay.
Which gave them, plenty. But yeah, they play wrestle a lot. In fact, one of our rats was specifically named for how bad he was at the play wrestling. The rat who never won a fight.
You can't tell me that and then not tell me the rat's name.
I have told you the rat's name on many previous occasions, and part of the problem with this is that it's a World of Warcraft joke, so you're not gonna get it.
That's why I don't remember it. Okay.
Yeah, but he was a ruby-eyed rat, of course, and so we named him Grommash Hellscream as a reference to a particularly ornery character in World of Warcraft who never did win an important fight, never could win a fight when it really mattered.
Yeah, the only World of Warcraft character I know is Leroy Jenkins. Is that a that's like
not
Warcraft.
really, no. That's a
Okay.
sort of a jokey meme. I cannot believe. There we go. There's the permanent break. I was gonna say I can't believe these units have broken and run and come back on us so many times. All right, get over there and distract them. Okay, let's have one unit of rats devoted to pushing them the rest of the way off the map, and you guys are going to turn around and try to squeeze through over here. Those guys are getting squished. Yeah, that should be good for us. Packmaster needs to get to work. Unfortunately, our units are going to end up pretty tired here. There's a lot of running. But there's not really anything that can be done about that. Alright, just trying to scoop up our folks from all over the place and get them to work. Throt has broken a unit and just about a second one here by himself.
Ready.
Press them. I'm a little worried about the HP here. This mutant rat ogre does need to survive. We won't be able to summon another one anytime soon. All right. Get that warlord. So you can see a lot of their units are low but willing to keep fighting. A lot of my units, they get low and they immediately run away. And so that has complicated things somewhat. That said, I think it's entirely possible for us to win this battle based just on the strength of our characters. Alright, they're bringing people back around. Let me see if I can move. Let's see if we can get Throt disconnected from this fight that he's got over here. There we go. Because he can for sure beat up their lord. You guys stab them in the back. All right, shooting at these guys from the back made them turn on the people who were shooting at them, and so they're no longer paying attention to the direction that the charge is coming from. And you can see they did that thing where they were panicking and giving up, and then the Kislev ability was used on them, and all of a sudden they go back to full health or full leadership. Very annoying ability for a Skaven army to have to deal with, because we're going to end up with a lot of this like broken down piecemeal garbage during our combats. This is going to be a very common sight. Where do I even want you running? I guess, yeah, just get over here and we'll figure it out. Yeah, the mutant rat ogre is amazing. What a hero. Alright, that ability can wear off now. They can fucking run away. Right, I'm pulling him. He is no longer participating in the battle. He's at 500 HP, and I'm really worried we're gonna lose him. Alright, Throt's almost done killing their lord. It looks like my troops are going to give up before their troops in this battle, because yeah, they had two units of dudes fall back into defensive ranged positions. Packmaster's going to be able to break one of them pretty easily. I'll tell you what. I'm glad that we brought as many charges of extra rats as we did. And in fact, I kind of think it would maybe even be better if we had more. We could fully make use of more. The cowardice. And see, yeah, all of their stuff is always run away, get to the edge of the map, and come back. Very annoying. You guys get them. Throt needs to finish off their lord, and that'll make a pretty big difference.
Yeah.
And we're in no danger of losing that fight. It's just taking a while.
Yeah. What do you think is more annoying, the flee come back stuff, or those dwarf units that never give up? What's more annoying to fight?
The flee come back, the flee and return cycle is way more annoying. Because you're seeing how much like micromanaging I'm having to do. Alright, Packmaster's breaking that up. Yeah, this dude's getting real close. Unfortunately, like how tired are you? You're so tired your melee attack's down to 28 and his melee defense is 36. So we're having a little bit of trouble generating damage now. Every time we hit him, it hits him for, some very huge percentage of the HP that he has left. But a lot of shots are missing at this point. All right, you try to break them. So my whole army is on the verge of breaking over here, and their whole army is on the verge of breaking over there, and it's just... Somebody's going to tilt out. And it could be them. It doesn't have to be us. How do we want to do this? Let's see if we can reform by the Packmaster. Take advantage of the leadership aura. No, a bunch of my guys gave up, just kind of like being that close to the enemies. All right. Oh, did Trotches get him? Yeah, I do believe that is a splattered man. So that's going to incur a pretty decent penalty on their leadership. Okay, you broke that arm. You broke that unit already. I kind of think stay on them until they skull out.
Gosh, you had 20 units when you started.
Yeah.
Now you have 8.
We had 20 units, and we summoned an additional 5 units over the course of combat. All right, turn around and break those guys. His whole army is retreating except for like this army, this unit, and this unit. And we still have our characters in position to break them, but stuff is unbreaking. Very annoying. Actually, you guys go ahead and hit the flank. Yeah, he's got stuff deciding to turn around now. Why don't you just withdraw from the battle entirely? I was kind of thinking there was a chance that we might want to reapply him, but at this point, I think we gotta get him out of the battle entirely. We're coming, Throt. We're gonna help you. Throt is so exhausted. Okay. Break. Yeah, we're seeing a lot more permanent breaks on their part, which is good. This has been a nightmare, an absolute nightmare of a battle.
Yeah. I mean, this is the first, maybe the first battle that we've seen in this series that feels like a battle, like it's so exhausting and sluggish, and there's so much.
And brutal and manly and boisterous.
Well, that's okay, right? And the thing about war, I don't want to get depressing here, but the thing about war is it sucks,
Oh, sure, yeah.
you know, and it's exhausting and horrifying, and I think that is something that if you're making games about this, in a way, it needs to have some emphasis of that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Jesus Christ, just give up, you assholes! What is this still not permanently broken thing? I mean, I gotta keep hitting them until they surrender. It's not really like a, you know. Go squirt the musk of stabbing.
forgot about squirting musk.
Oh, there's gonna be a lot of it. This is a squirting musk kind of campaign.
Do rats squirt a lot of musk? Or
I
not,
don't.
not after you fix them.
Okay, finally. Oh my god. Finally.
That's
a Pyrrhic victory. That's
feels,
fine.
Yeah.
What did Pyrrhus say? If I win another such victory, I'll be ruined.
Yeah.
So we lost 1,200 bodies there.
Yeah.
So this is something we will have to get used to. Like, I was doing my best to avoid this with the greenskins, trying to minimize goblins and like go straight to the biggins and stuff. But with this army, it is going to be the case for most, if not all, of the campaign that on an individual level, our basic soldiers are just going to be a lot worse than our enemy's basic soldiers. And we win with trickery and big monsters
And that's interesting. And I mean, that battle was like, it was exhausting, but also kind of tense, because who knew? Like,
I'm not gonna pretend that there wasn't a moment there where I was like, shit, we're gonna lose. But no, we came out of it, and we didn't actually lose any of the monster units. Some of them retreated off the map, but everybody survived. All of the important units survived. So you can see here, one thing that is going to be a consistent issue with us is fucking Kislevite armies fight until they're just like burger and dust, while Skaven units are retreating off the map while they still have 40% HP. So we are not going to always get the full benefit of the bodies that we bring. Lots of food that time. We produced an awful lot of food. I think we're gonna take the army replenishment here, maybe. You know what? No, we'll take the food and XP. That's pretty rough. That's a pretty rough outcome. And unfortunately, you can see their army was not disincorporated, so they're still in that settlement.
Oh.
We did kill their commander, of course, but that just means he's been replaced for free with a new commander who is at full health, which is actually something of a problem, because I don't know if Throt can fight a new guy who's at full health, right? That's actually a big issue for us.
Yeah.
So you have some amount of armor. Yeah, plus armor would probably be okay. It would probably not be a terrible way to go on you. Need to be a little bit careful with Conrich Scuttle's health because his toughness. He's a lot less tough than the big boss. So we're outside of friendly territory and we're not replenishing.
Oh,
And
I
they
think
have
run away.
They have units that are they're losing health faster than we are, right? Like we're not actually losing health here. We're just at these levels of health. They are bleeding to attrition damage every turn.
Okay.
And you can see they're still at the health levels that we left them at when we ended the battle. So if we auto-resolve this, it will kill a huge percentage of my units, but it does think we'll win. It's also worth noting, we have 2 sets of siege towers now. We also have the Menace below and a fresh unit of Rat Ogres off of Throughout the Unclean Summon. So, like, I think we can and should take Fort Ostrosk, but I think it's probably not a right this second kind of thing. Because it is going to be, it's going to be a couple of minutes of battling. And I suspect you would like for the episode to end.
Yeah, it's a little late in the
All right.
evening.
So I think that's the plan. We're going to take Fort Ostrosk. The field battle went horribly for them. We've got them canned up here. We might let them starve for another turn or two and see if we can run out a couple of those units, because units will just start fully dying off.
Okay.
And this would be a dangerous thing to do against a force that could muster an army somewhere else and send them to defend. But because this is a tiny faction with only these 2 settlements, we know we've sort of got their whole economy locked up too.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, that's going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching, for bearing with my, my so-so army management. I would like to reiterate that the enemies have extra stats and stuff in combat, and because we're playing on very hard. So, it's kind of a difficult battle, but a good player would have won that in a much cleaner way, I'm sure. When you come back next time, we will continue the siege of Fort Ostrosk. We shall wrest it from Grigory Boyarin's hands, and then I guess set our eyes to the south, our eyes and our jaws to the south on Kislev. And we'll see you then.
I think you're doing a great job.